Hello everyone, this is Jacqueline Jax and you are on another great video. This one is a members video for all of my wonderful members. Thank you so much for your support. I'm going to be using the Coastal Breeze palette that you probably have received in the mail or is coming to you in the mail. This is a beautiful palette, and then I've added a few colors that you might not have seen yet. I don't know, we'll go through them. It's just a nice warm yellow, as well as one of the new lime colors. But as you can see, this palette is stunning. I mean, it makes the prettiest coastal scenes. It's so rich and so beautiful and blends so well. In addition, I'm just going to choose a warm yellow just for a little more brightness for this particular little landscape that we're going to do, because it's a meadow field and I just kind of feel like that sunshine, needs to happen. So I did choose that one. I think you'll enjoy it. If you have lemon, that would also work. I like the sunshine because it's a little more warm, but lemon's a little more blue. You know what I'm saying? So this one's just got a little more warmth, a little bit on that side, but also daffodil would work here. There's quite a few of the yellows that I've released in the last 6-7 months that are really just lovely. So go ahead and grab that. Let's wet our brush, and we're just going to kind of roughly brush in some random slots. Now, the overall idea in brushing in the yellow is to just have peaks of yellow that we can work with in our layers. So I want to have the yellow kind of going through the center of the page, but you can arrange it any way you want to, knowing that the yellow that is on the bottom is going to be mixed in with the foliage, right? And then the yellow in the middle can either be part of a water or it can be part of land, depending on where you take it. So it gives us a lot of flexibility, but it's just kind of giving us that undercoating of really, really bright, bold yellow. It is a more opaque yellow as well, so it's going to mix really, really well and re-wet well and give us a little bit of coverage and brightness as we move through. Then I'm taking the beautiful blue from the Coastal Breeze set. And oh my God, I love this blue. It's so rich and so gorgeous, and it mixes beautiful dark greens that are just out of this world. So I'm using that just to kind of scale in a little bit of water and maybe even do a little clouds, right? So you can see I'm taking my brush and I'm doing some really odd brush streaks. Now, this was kind of something I saw in a painting by I don't know, it was like a Van Gogh or some random painting that I saw from a very famous artist, and I can't place the painting right now, but I remember the sky looked really like it had really heavy kind of texture in it, and I thought, wouldn't that be interesting to do that kind of look in a watercolor? So I thought we would try it in this one, just kind of blocking in some bold color and just kind of scraping it almost as if this was like an acrylic, like you were laying in some powerful, I don't know, like pieces of color. So I thought this would make a really interesting texture because it's going to carve the paper a little bit. It's going to create some really neat looking stuff, and I'm kind of going in some different directions because that's just what I saw on the canvas when I looked at that art. Now, this is a typical thing that I like to do is I'll look at some famous art and I'll just study it, and then I'll pick up something like a palette knife stroke or a big chunk of sky that just looks really dramatic and is beautifully and done in a different way, because when you add that to watercolor, this is what you get. You get something really unique, and that everybody wonders how you did it, but really it's just kind of like using the medium differently. So don't forget to think outside the box, because there are really no rules, right? Not for us. There aren't, because you're a beginner. You don't need to worry about whether you're going to break a rule or not. You just need to explore and take wonderful colors that you're getting every month from me and just play with them. This is a moment of just bliss. And I have to say, I needed this moment of bliss because, oh my goodness, I have had such a rough week. It has been just ups and downs, emotional turmoil, and I am just exhausted from it. But thank God for painting, right? Here we are again. We're doing this together and we have the painting. So as you can see, I'm just kind of pulling in where I had the blue. I'm grabbing some of the greens and I'm pulling that through because, of course, in any area where the sky meets the water, you get those really lovely tones. And we don't just want the same color as the sky. So it's really easy just to grab a little bit of green and just kind of push that through there. Now, of course, if we use the yellow on the green, it will be brighter. I'm looking for a little bit more darker color, right? So this one I think just fits, and it's a lovely way to use the palm tree set because we know it makes terrific palm trees, but did you realize how beautiful the water can turn out with the coastal breeze set? You know, so this is also something you should be mindful of. When you have colors, they don't just do one thing. If you think it makes great foliage, try it in an ocean scene. You know, it might really surprise you. Try it in a mountain scene. Add more water. Add a little bit, you know, of deeper colors to it. I love the mystic sets and the dusk sets because you can add those to any of your bright colors and it's really going to transform your palette, you know? So the whole idea is just to play and not be afraid. So right now I'm taking some of this lovely color and I am just brush stroking it up. I'm trying to create more of a foreground here that the base of our flowers are going to be. So let's just take a look at the finished product real quick and we'll know where we're going with this. Okay, so you can see how the foreground has some greenery in it, and then I'm kind of using the green to direct your eye around the foreground. If you notice, it's like there are some of the really, really nice orange pops in there from our ocean breeze set, but the green really does take center stage. So we want it to be wispy, we want it to just kind of guide the eye around, and we want to spread it around some different textures so that it looks more dimensional. So that's what I'm using the green for. So I'm doing some different strokes here. I'm kind of brushing up some strokes. I'm giving it like almost as if you were walking around the area and you were passing not only like the brushes of grass, but also some little patches, right? Little patches of things, maybe little hills and little rolls. And so that we're just kind of adding that in so that it looks like texture. It doesn't look like it's on one plane. And it is all the same colorway right now, but if you notice, when I add color into this lid here that came with the Ocean Breeze set, I am mixing these colors together. So it's a dirty little palette right now. And as I add a little blue or add a little green to it or add a little bit of the orange to it, it does change it up. So you can play with the colors in that little lid as often as you can. And I thought it was kind of like neat to do, you know. The watercolor that is in that lid, that one is the beach one, and it's a gorgeous color, but I mixed it with a very like honey pot kind of mix, so it's very wet and it did not dry. It needed a whole nother month to dry. So I thought, well, what if I gave you like a little reverse cup, and that way you could use the bottom as a little mixing cup. If you like that idea, let me know, because maybe we'll do it with all of them moving forward. I think it's kind of a fun little idea. And if you were just getting this palette like, just to sit down with your friends and paint, it would kind of be nice because you'd already have the lid as a little, like travel mixing tin. So I don't know, just a thought. I thought it was really handy. I used it throughout all of the paintings that I did, and I thought, this is kind of smart. I like this, Okay, so you can see how I'm just going, right? This is random. This is me determining like, okay, well, I think I'm going to have some brush back here, and that's going to give a little point of view. I just want to add texture is what I'm doing, is I'm just making this great big half a page into something that feels like you could walk into it by having that foreground. And then as you take steps, you're kind of going, around, and you can see it's not just flat planes. It's got some, ups and downs to it. And that's what I'm trying to portray by bringing the greens through. Now you do have to just kind of play with this. This isn't something that like you need to be exact with. I would just play, and if you need to look at a photograph, maybe see a photograph of Italy or, a winery on the ocean or a winery on the lake or something like that, might get you something in this ballpark. where you have the land, the rolling hills going to the ocean, and then the beautiful blue sky. But all I'm trying to do is just play with some texture, give us a nice point of view, and carry the eye. Now I'm going to add in some of that beautiful bold orange, and that is going to be our little flowers. So let me show you the brush strokes on these. It's almost like I'm doing 2 strokes to make like a little check mark, and it's really simple to do. Just using the side of a pen brush, a very, very neat little short liner. This one is the one with the gray barrel from the website. I'm sure many of you have a similar brush that I've sent you in the monthly watercolor subscription that is these little like fine liners. They're great for this stuff. They're terrific for the grass. They're really good to lay in little bits of dry brush of color, and they're wonderful to just, you know, on a small 4x6 sheet to do the little flowers. So because these flowers are small, you don't really have the space to do details. So we're kind of like going in and just punching in the color with dots and check marks and just little tiny movements, I would say, of the brush. Just mark making, basically. So kind of think in terms of like, let's just add some, you know, clusters of dots and checks and different things. Now there's that lid again. Don't you just love it for mixing? I'm adding a little more of the blue in here so that I can work a little bit more. And then I'm going to grab some of the bright, bright green and just kind of lay that in. Now this green's a great green because it really does give you like a little bit of texture. It's not like a transparent green. It's kind of semi-transparent with a little bit more to it. And because it has some weight to it, it's great for layers. So when we get to this point where we want to add some light back in, you can use the green just flat on. And if you do the palm tree tutorial, you'll see that the green just pops. If wherever you want like a little pop of sunlight, you can add that green, or you can add the orange. And those really do just bring it right to life. It's very, very fun to use those 2 colors. 2 of my favorites. In fact, I think I had more requests for larger versions of honey pots of these colors, as well as the last subscription, than anything else that I've done all year. Sometimes, you know, they just become really, really relatable, and the most unusual palettes always become like the ones that everybody wants to get in larger form and just collect them. And I have to say they're great, you know. Now this is Azo Yellow I'm re-wetting here. This is one from the Honey Pot collection. Really easy one to re-wet. You always want to keep it dry because of the nature of the pigment. So just let it dry out. I mostly do let them dry out almost to where they're like falling out of the tin because it's a very dry pigment. But it works better that way, and it gives you the darks and the lights. So Azo Yellow has a little bit of texture to it. It's great in landscapes. If you use it really just, you know, like thickly, it's going to give you the golden color. If you use it in a palette and you water it down, it's going to give you a very bright kind of like a jaune yellow, you know, like a medium yellow. Really beautiful color, very nice in mixes, great to use. And I carry it in honey pots typically. So now I'm adding in these layers just to give us some foreground, background texture. Without them, you kind of like have a little of a flatness, right, in this because it's just all one colored yellow. So it's always good to go back in, I feel personally, and just add a little different tone. You can do this straight on with the watercolor if you like, or you can wet it down and see how that goes for you. You could even mix some of the yellow in with some of the orange and use that. If you don't have Azo Yellow, it'll be a little more orangey, you know, like a sorbet color, but it still will work. And, you know, it's all good, right? It's like nothing's really bad. It's just your vision for it. There's also in the Ocean Breeze palette, there's that beautiful beach color. That would also work here really, really well. Just give it a little bit of a wash, a little bit dustier tone, I would say, because it's more opaque, but just beautiful. So now I'm starting to go in with a little bit of dark, and by having the dark, I'm able to use that to establish a little more reference and point of view. So you can see right here where if I mix the darker colors together in my palette and I kind of use the very fine brush to brush them in, I'm actually able to get a little more detail, get a little more contrast, and I'm adding dimension, right? So see how it kind of just really makes the white pop more by adding a little more dark, and it also gives us the ability to direct the eye. So by dry brushing in some of the dark, now I've got more texture instantly in my water, and that is really, really cool to be able to do that with just a couple of brush strokes. Now I mixed a little bit of that green into the mix, and I'm kind of carrying that forward and just deciding what I want to do here with the edges of the water as they meet onto the planes of the green. And here's the thing is now I'm kind of establishing like a green rolling hill, which once again just kind of brings the eye past the foreground into the midground and the background. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Go out and make your own masterpiece. I am so excited to see it. Don't forget to share it with me on social media. You can either tag me at Jack's Art Challenge, or you can go on to our Facebook group page and let me know what you painted. I can't wait to see it. I hope you guys enjoy this palette. If you didn't get it in your order and you've ordered a little too late, go ahead and send me an email. If I have any left over, I will surely get one on the way to you. I was using a palette knife, a flat brush, and one of those little pointed rounds. Have a wonderful day, guys, and thanks so much for sharing your journey with me.